cloud. Good evening, ladies. Thank you for giving some additional time to our AAUW fund project. I'm not sure how many people are coming in. Hi, Carol. I know Carol Pletcher there too. Actually, Dolores Seidman, there's a whole bunch of you I worked with this last year. So welcome.
And it's Seidman, thank you.
And unless it gets noisy in the background, you have a TV running or a pet needing your attention, I'm going to leave it like this, but we can change it till we mute everybody. And then you just, if in a little bit, if you want to talk, you're going to have to unmute to talk. But sometimes it's better to get the mute button, and then whatever's going on in the background ends up not being our business. But if you got something real exciting going on, we'll be glad to listen in on you. So our next Zoom meeting is in about a month. It's on Thursday, October 26th, also at 7 o'clock. And we've kind of scheduled that, hoping that this month is a big month for you starting to do or getting your feet really wet into fundraising and getting all this. And the on my screen, it's at the bottom. I think that's mostly the case. There's a little button there that says chat, and that's a really good place for you to put questions. We may answer some as we go along, but you can put your questions there. And if for any reason we don't get to them this evening, I would have those in the chat and get back to you. You can also always contact me at the AAUW Fund at the email for California, which is aauw-ca.org. And that's works for the same for website, but if you want to get to fund, just say AUW Fund, and those come right to my personal email. So if you decide to talk here in a little bit, please be sure to unmute, and if not, we'll press the little button saying unmute. Send me your questions. My job is to either know the answer or preferably find the answer and get right back to you. Right now, we have the 23-24 scholar speakers. All of this is in process. We do have these on the AUW website. We didn't have that a few days ago when we announced, but it's up there now. So AAUW-ca.org will get you there. At the top of that page, there are some tabs. We get our own tab because we're the fund. And so hit that fund tab and you will see, and I think these are pretty prominent, but it will have the photos and bios. We're still collecting a few photos, and we're still collecting some of the bios on here. So it's a work in progress, but they're starting to come in. And this group, and we did get more students than what we talked about last month. We had about 24, and I believe that has been up to, we have about 34 now. And somehow or other, National found some more and sent them our way. So we're pretty happy about that. We were concerned about being able to get the speaker requests to you, with quite a fewer students. So at any rate, that's the thing. You can, and on the right where I just led you, you can request your speaker. I have one that's already in process, and I believe I have at least 3 others that hit the hit the gun running really some time ago. And so what is best is once you fill out the form, which is not very difficult, but hi Sharon, fill out the form online. That automatically sets up, we have a spreadsheet for these, and that sets you up officially in that spreadsheet where we can track, what speaker you've ended up with, what date, and when you can give us more than one speaker, or at the very least your topic, that is very, very helpful. We can help you better when you tell us, who you want, where you want it. And we are asking your cooperation, though, to do as many of these in Zoom event as you can, simply to, help out the students, get them done. And especially last year, we had maybe 2 or 3 students that ended up doing 4 or 5 sessions. And that's a lot to ask of them. They aren't forced to do it, but they do understand that AAUW is where their money came from, and at least a good portion of it. And so we're real happy about that. So please go ahead and you can go ahead and get those started in requesting the speakers. Now,
Karen, this is Carol Pletcher.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, folks. Well, I don't recognize anyone, and maybe I will by the end of the year. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carol Pletcher, and I was an AAUW fellow so long ago, right? And the thing about it, oh well, just that. Do not in any way feel shy about asking people to come and talk about this experience. It is magnificent. And they want to tell you. They want to tell you how they're going to use the money. They want to tell you why it's so important to them, right? And they are just at the edge, right? They've just gotten the money. And so they're, whatever they use it for, I will share with you. I use mine for daycare.
Hey, thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. And there are very likely others, in our group who have had received full or partial scholarships along the way. And just as always, this is a really fun, exciting group. Now, what's different about this? We put out in the board to board, and there's another one coming out this at the end of this week for October's. But I wanted to be sure that we got a head start on this. The students have been trained, they've had an orientation, and they've been asked to do their own video. Now, our own Sandy Gabe has helped with that, but she's written out some really nice instructions on this. And we're giving them 5 to 8 minutes. In the ones we've had in the past few years, we've given them like 5 minutes. And for some of their topics, that's really hard. And they do seem to understand that that they need to do these. We think it's a good experience for them. And we've gotten one in, and I know some others are on the way. But Sandy isn't going to post those videos until later in the month when we get all of them. And first of all, there's going to be, a couple of us from the fund committee meeting, and I see Sharon Westifer here. She's on that committee. I haven't looked through to see everybody else, but basically we've got people. We're going to do a quick view to kind of vet it before we send it, in case we kind of go, no, honey, that isn't it. Let's try again. We've let them know some of the where they can find the speakers from last year, the videos, and we've recommended a couple of them on here. So we're pretty excited about it. So far, we don't have anybody who seems to be biting their nails on it. Of course, those who are scared about it aren't talking to us yet. And so we'll find them one way or the other. So any rate, and I still hear from some of you saying, oh, we miss the luncheons. We want to have the luncheons. And well, and I love that these ideas come from you folks. There's been some of the branches out here who've said, hey, we're going to have our own watch party, either at a meeting, they were going to have a meeting anyway, and they'll just set it up and do their own watch party. I've had some others say somebody has a big screen TV and they could cast the videos to that TV and have their own watch party. And so the idea is kind of gone from there, saying, well, have your own luncheon. And if you want to meet other people, well, how about doing it with one of your IBCs or, some other branches, get some other people to come and watch it. We're encouraging you to have fun doing it and helping to select your particular speaker, make a recommendation. And everything I've seen on them in the past and everything I'm seeing this year is like, they're going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot of interesting students. So get creative, make your own luncheon, make your own watch party, do a breakfast. And if you're in, I'm in the San Diego IBC. So if you do one in our area, Carol or someone else, let me know, because I'll certainly want to come to your breakfast or luncheon or party or whatever you're doing. So be sure to let us know. Okay, I want a couple of announcements before we get in and have you people continue to ask us questions. It's my understanding that AUW National is having some office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I haven't tried one of them, but I have seen the notices, and it's somehow, I guess you've got to go to the AAUW.org and you find out where that would be, or you do a search or something. I believe you have to sign up for the office hour. I'm going to drop just a second because it's our president, Sandy Gabe, calling. I'm going to step off. Hello. Okay, well, yeah, we're at 28 and still growing. We're well into the meeting. Sharon's
you
on.
can
I'll
let her know
see
that
if
we're
she can
here.
find out. Okay. Oh, and they're both here.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Carrie. Okay, carry on. So I get Sandy knew that Sharon and Allie had some trouble getting in, but you're in, so good. Then I don't have to send one of you out. You found yourself is the thing. Okay, so we've covered that, and as I said, I haven't tried it yet, and it'd probably be a good idea if I did sometime. So if somebody asks about it, I'd know more what I'm talking about. I've just seen it announced in some of the newsletters that come out to National. AAUW office hours on a Tuesday or a Thursday. You have to sign up for it, so that and I don't remember who it is, which staff person is doing that, or could be a variety of staff, but it's out there. I want to remind each of your branches to pay the fund assessment. I think both the annual insurance assessment and the fund assessment has gone out. We'd like to encourage you to continue to pay those assessments. The assessments run between $10 and $90 per branch, and that's kind of based on membership. I'd say the majority of them are at kind of the $60 or $65 range, but be sure to get those paid. This last year, we received about 5,800 statewide from these assessments. And this is in addition to the other fundraisings that you do locally with your branches. The difference we have found this last year on these assessments, instead of those going to pay off in endowments, that's what they were started for, those have been done, which says to me, this is a successful initiative, is to bring in some California, specifically California money. The fund committee gets to select how these assessments are done, and that's done in December. So we want you to get your assessment paid, your $10 to $60 to $90, get that paid so that we have those funds. We are able to, from the fund committee, either donate money to for more Nick Whistle. We can donate to public policy. And my research this last month I found out that 100% of public policy, now this is at the national level, is funded by AAUW fund. 100%. So I intend to ask the state public policy folks and saying, well, what would you, on the national level, what would you like those funds to go to? The other thing is membership on a national level. So, like if they were doing an AAUW brochure, for example, one came out this last year, I believe, from the state. But if Nashville was doing something like that, the fund committee would have the opportunity to say, well, let's say we have $6,000, and we can say we want it all put to fund or public policy, a specific project in fund or public policy, or in membership. And what my math would say, you could send 2 or 3 more Nick Whistle girls that could be from California that we could say, let's do that. So even though it's not a huge amount, we figure every nickel and dime helps, and we really want you to get that done. Now on the donations, and I'm almost done with this. I want to throw it back over to you. National, I know that we had issues, several of you, and I became pretty close friends this last year as we worked with various donation issues through National, which seemed to be, I know that National gets the blame for this, but it's a database vendor, and I know somehow midstream they ended up, that vendor merged with somebody else. So I imagine some of you know what happens when 2 groups merge, that it's not always smooth and not always right now. I do have a great deal of faith that bit by bit, these pieces are being fixed or being communicated. Certainly I hear about it when they're not, and we take it seriously. We just hound them until we get the thing. Sometimes it's like, well, they can't fix what they don't know about, and they can't watch everything that goes in the database. You should by now, I'm not hearing negative things here. I'm hearing positive things about you getting a monthly report. The fund officer on here, please take a look at those. And if you find discrepancies, if you find stuff not on there, you can certainly take that right to National. I would encourage you to bring it to me, and, you know, we'll bring it to their attention. And I have a habit of putting a little CC on some other top level people. And so they can't just push it under the rug. They kind of go, oh, let's answer her question. Otherwise, it's going to keep getting kicked higher and higher. So we want solutions. And a lot of the things that happened last year, I believe, have been fixed. But if they have not, you know, you've got to let us know. So that's it. Now, on the donations, clearly they're set up to take online donations. And yes, your members and your branch can write checks. And it's just that clearly, and I believe something went out to everybody like last month or something, it's a longer process on here because checks are an annual thing. They don't get processed at the office. They get processed somebody else, where else. And we are trusting that the procedures that we had them put in place this last year will correct that if something should not get lost, if it's not done within a certain amount of time, and I think it was like 3 to 6 days or something, then it's supposed to, you know, to go to a staff member who would watch it. I'm going to read just this little piece of it, and then my part of this evening will be done, and we'll turn it over to you. It says streamline giving by opting for online. And I know many of us have fought doing that, but like many other things in our life, once you do it and you kind of go, oh, why was I fighting that? That's actually pretty easy. I remember this ages me, ATM machine. I just didn't want to do it, not gonna do it. And then the bank, this was ages ago, sent me to try the ATM machine. They sent me $2 bills. And I said, okay, now I'm embarrassed into it. I can be bought for $2 apparently, you know, back whatever this was 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, maybe something like that. And I think that this is it. If we'll just try some of these and learn how this goes in the system, maybe it'll work. It says, keep in mind the most efficient way to donate to AAUW is by using the online tools. See, I see a lot of you loving that already. Individual members with the community hub accounts, you can donate independently online using the primary branch will get credit. In addition, member leaders can donate on behalf of multiple individuals at once, including the entire branch. And I'm going to read through this, but I will get this typed up and see if we can get this sent out to the peer group. I believe it's something that everybody got, but just because you got it doesn't mean that you were reading it. So it says, if you're donating on behalf of a group, so either a handful of members or maybe your whole branch, it says use renewals and donations. That's a function within the community hub. To give on behalf of your state or branch through the community hub, or on behalf of members, you can connect with your affiliate name, the individual donor name, donor amounts, and the desired fund. Here's this was in bold on my paper. It says, use express link request. Express link request in the subject line of your message, and we'll supply an express payment link to facilitate your donation. So how about that? Let's show us the money. Let's get our donations in. I'm gonna turn it over, I see, I'm gonna turn it over for questions, but I see that there are some in here. Okay. Okay, and the question was, what were some of the problems? We had 4 branches in the state, which, given the number of branches, it's used to be 119. I'm not sure if that's exactly true, but certainly over 100 now. That either checks were sitting around for a long time, and it took a while. They got found, but it just took a while to find them. So those were, some of the issues, or they weren't getting properly earmarked where you wanted them. So basically that was it. And I believe those had been handled. We actually were successful in getting a letter out of National apologizing to those 4 groups and saying, let's, we fix this and we appreciate your patience. There we go. All right, if you'd like to speak, raise your hand, and this may not view. My view is not going to let me have all of them, because we've got 29 people, so that won't let me do it. So Lynn is asking about the credit to dual branches. I think that's going to continue to be an issue. The software system that they're using, they just really aren't set up for that. And that's certainly a problem for me, because I'm a member of 4 branches, if I include the online. And so it's like, that's not an easy thing, I think. And it doesn't apply to everybody. But it applies to enough of you. And right now, what I'm going to plan to do for the workaround is just send money to each of those 4 branches. One of them it has to be my primary. Roseanne, I see. Be sure to unmute if you're going to talk. Get your mute button off. You're still muted. Let's see if I can do it. I can ask. There you go.
Oh, there.
All right, Roseanne.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I did send it to the other branch, but when they sent it in, it still was given credit to my other branch. It didn't give it credit to the branch I gave it to. And they sent it in, not me. I gave it to them. They sent it in.
Okay, what I know about the hub, and here's the rub on the hub, is that in your own account, when you get in there, you're the one that selects your primary branch. And I've been able to get some others on there, but you have to select your primary branch. And if you don't do that, it gives a default. And I'm not sure who all the default will go to, each time. But Roseanne, you should go in and look at yours. And you can't probably look at the other person you're talking to, but you can maybe, if you know how to get into yours, show them how to get into theirs and mark things correctly. It's the same reason, like for the fund committee, if you didn't check that you were the fund director, and in some cases you were unchecking somebody who used to be the fund director, if you don't have that checked, you're not going to get anything. And that's the same if you're, the president or a treasurer or whatever. You've got to go in, and basically it's kind of your hub, your directory, and say, this year, this is the positions that I want to be. And it really isn't that difficult, but you have to know to go do that. And when other people have moved from their positions, probably the last thing they're thinking about is, oh, I should go in and, unclick Judy and put Carol in, and that type of thing. But we put out notices on that, and clearly we've got at least 29 of us here that have been able to do that for fun. But it's the same if you're we've got some other presidents on here, and yes, you can be more than one thing, but you've got to get it set up right. And if it's not, give that a try, or that would be a great thing to do those office hours with and say, walk me through my community hub. Who else? Let's see, Lynn.
Well, continuing with the dual members thing, we tried taking the check, filling out the paper form that you mail in with the check, scribbling all over the form that this was to go to our branch, not to the person's primary branch. We knew the person wasn't our primary branch. Scribble, scribble, scribble. And it still went to the other branch, and we had to involve you and some other staff to sort it out. So scribbling all over the check and the paperwork didn't work. And the reason that she sent me the check was because she couldn't figure a way to make the community hub work for her to give it.
When you get situations like that, do like what you've done, Lynn, and some of the others on this, be sure to let us know. And if we have an answer, we'll answer it. And if not, we at least have the connections to get you where you need to be. And
that did work for us last year to go to you and to the staff back east.
Sure.
And I don't know if anybody ever saw the paper with all the scribbling, but it took months, and the check did.
And I think that this is it. They really are going to, pretty much everything online. And I do see that as our future, if not, maybe within a reasonable time, within just a very few years, it's all going to be that way. And that's just the way it is. The paper checks, it's like, and we've gotten to them, we've got their attention, and we've got some solutions on how to deal with it. But the paper checks, they're just going to cause some trouble. It's like if you can get it done, these other methods that I was reading, earlier, do it online through the hub and learn how to do it that way. Because too, then they've got the money instantly and you've got your credit instantly. And then it's like, if you don't get your correct credit, that's probably an easier, quicker fix. Who else? I'm trying to, I don't think it, Mary?
Hi, good evening. Clarification. When are we going to be able to view, you said, the fellows and grant recipient videos at the end of the month?
We plan for that to be available on or before November 1st. And
Okay.
so their videos are due to our team on the 16th of October. And so that gives us a chance to, to edit these. And Sandy, and we've talked, I believe, from our online group, Bev Kitters. Yeah, she's going to help with that, because it takes hours and hours and hours to format these and put them into something. So it's a big job. But ultimately, Sandy and I want to, leave this where it's easier and easier for our fund committee people, for our fund officers and directors out here, and for the students and staff going forward, make it more streamlined. There's so many, I know that we're missing the luncheons and the food, and we've provided you with ways to say, well, bring your own food and, make it a party. But ultimately, though, you won't have to meet us at, let's say, 10 to 12 on several Saturdays in a row and a Sunday thrown in there now and then. You won't have to do any of that because it will be posted to our web. You can go in there and watch all of them, zoom through the ones you say, maybe there's a chemistry one. I'm going to insult a chemistry person here, right? And say, yeah, picking on Carol here. But you can zoom through and say, nope, don't want to hear that one, or we want to hear more about this one. You can watch them as many times as you want to, or, and any time. And we think that that's an enormous advantage to you. And it ends up being a great advantage to our students who, they don't have to practice that so much. We're putting it back on them, saying, you're big girls, and we've given you the keys how to do this. So just get busy and, and learn it. So, but that's why the November 1st deadline is that we're expecting them in on the 16th of October. My guess is there's at least out of 34, there's probably 4 to 6 of them we're going to have to try to chase down and saying, if you want to be part of this, you're late. Get it in here. So basically,
Thank you.
who else? See, I can't see everybody here. Here's some more in chat. I don't know that. Oh, and one of the questions is the time frame for requesting the speaker. Actually, we're saying the time frame to get your request in, it can start now. We have one that has been requested for mid-November. And so we gave them permission to go ahead and get started, even though they don't have the video, but they've looked at the topics and the people have made some selections, and we'll get busy in the next couple of days trying to contact the speakers they've asked to see if they feel that they would be interested in doing that particular one. But what we'd like to do is have them done by the end of April. Many of these students are, working on their dissertations, or they're working on a project or test in May. So we'd like to have them at least done by April, but you can start on it sooner rather than later. Changes in the name gift honoree process. No, there is not. And I believe that form, I hadn't brought it up yet because that's more like something we talk about at our November meeting. But the name gift process is pretty much the same. What's different about name gift is the state name gift. We realized that we needed to give some guidance, so we've done that. That also is under fund at the AAUW California website. And the state name gift, we realized it needed some guidelines as far as qualifications for that. What's the activity, and making sure primarily that we were disqualifying current board members, from that process, because, time in, time out, we get nominations for current board members. We're saying, nah, they can't play. Not this time, some other time. Hi, Donna.
Hi, I have a question. When a branch has a fundraiser an AAUW fundraiser, would it be possible to have the members give a donation at that time? I have had many fundraisers for AAUW Fund, and when people come and they buy or bid, win the bidding on I shouldn't say that, opportunity drawing on some of the items, they pay in cash. Other ones pay in checks. Some people have no checks. They do not use checks anymore. Our branch does not have a PayPal account. So what do you suggest a branch set up for making AAUW Fund donations to National?
Anybody want to hop in on that?
Karen, it's Peggy Cabanas.
Yes,
I think National would like for your branch to set up what's called an ACH transfer from your checking account of your branch to AAUW National. It's called an ACH transfer.
okay, so Donna, if you're interested, get in touch with Peggy.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you because it is, it takes a long time for checks to be cashed. They're never cashed by January 1.
Yeah,
That has been the problem for the last 2 years. At San Diego branch, that's it.
right, right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Peggy.
And, you know, the workaround, as I understand it, is find some way to not make that a check. You know, it's like, can you know, for me, I'd say, well, I'll cash the checks, have copies of it and all this. And then if I have another electronic payment, maybe I can send it in. Find some way to get it done, because I think that they have things in process to improve this, but it's still going to be a slow boat.
It's still a slow boat. Okay, then.
It's still a slow boat. Hopefully
Okay.
not as slow as what it was. That's what they promised us.
Okay.
Not as slow. Okay. Who
Okay,
else?
maybe I should plan my fundraisers in November and not December.
Well, if you
A
want the money, but before
holiday.
end of the year, absolutely.
Way before the end of the year. Thank you.
A new workaround.
A workaround,
Monica?
workaround.
Monica?
It's my understanding that if the funds go through the branch checking account at all, if they touch the branch checking account and the branch is a 501c4, then those funds are not tax deductible. Is that true?
501c4 is not tax deductible. No, it has to be a C3.
So if the branch conducts a fundraiser and the money comes to the branch, the money's not deductible unless it's a 501c3, period.
Correct.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's IRS. That's not us. So, yeah. And that's why too on scholarships and some, like California itself, has a C4 and a C3. And so on the C4, because I think some of the things that they're doing, and I'm thinking it might be public policy, that they have to be careful how those funds go. So who else down here? And I'm not able to view the entire screen. I'm going to look back down a chance. Do you have have PayPal or Venmo accounts associated with your branches? That's a question for everybody. So do you want a quick show of hands? So the question from Deborah, Lucia Lover, do you have a PayPal or a Venmo account with that's part of your branch? And if so, how do you make that work? Anybody want to talk to that, Monica?
We have a PayPal account. It's very easy, but it costs money. So there's a fee associated with PayPal, and we have a branch PayPal account. We use it for all kinds of things, including donations, but those donations are not ever tax deductible if they come, because we are currently a 501c4. But the processing of the funds is very simple. It's not hard.
I would presume if I were giving a substantial donation, I'm going to say substantial, $100 or more, and I wanted a tax deduction, then I should just donate directly to National, and then I can take that off my taxes. But if I go through a branch that is not a C3, then it wouldn't be. Yeah. I see Sharon saying yes to that. So that's the way, if you have something substantial, is like then to find a way to give it directly so that you've got your tax deduction. Who else here? Roseanne?
Well, the way we did it in the past was funds would collect the checks and then just send them into association, and then they are deductible. They don't have to go into our branch treasury. So why can't everyone do that?
Sharon, do you know more about that? Because that sounds like the workaround that you're looking for. In other words, don't post it in your branch, collect it, and then I suppose do one of these methods that they just said, renewals and donations.
Well, what they do, they make the check out to AAUW fund. You can
Yes.
collect them all.
Yes.
I would recommend that if you're going to do that, do it by at least December 1st, so that you have a chance to get the form sent in with those checks and it gets taken care of by National. So if you wanted a deduction, like with our tech trek, it goes to AAUW SPF in our case, because we use SPF. It does not go to our branch at all. So any check that you want a tax deduction for needs to be made out to AAUW
Funds.
Well, that seems right to me, is like, but as you say, make sure it's going to AAUW fund. I think everybody on this group knows this, but there's only 4% of the monies that come into National are the budget is AAUW fund. We're the only part, of these funds, at National that have this status, and it gives it a good bit of power. And as I said, when I was researching for how we can use these assessments, and speaking of assessments, somebody just mentioned here, the assessment would have gone to your finance officer. And so my point earlier was just be sure to ask them to pay that. And if they have questions about it, you can answer that and say, because that's our California assessment. And and I know we've had questions on, isn't that kind of double dipping? I don't know. I make more than one donation sometimes to, the same group, and am not bothered by the fact I make multiple donations to the same group. I guess I don't see that as an issue. Who else has a question or comment? Oh, here, Peggy has the whole thing on here if you've got this. Peggy's Easiest way to get tax deductible donations to donate through the national website. This is true. Select donate and pay through the system. Your donation is tax deductible. Checks are costly and time consuming. And this, Peggy, this is exactly kind of what national is saying. I know a lot of people still want to process checks, and we've asked that question. Do you not want us? Do you not want to take our checks? Some people really want to do that. They don't want to donate online. I tried it this last year with my primary branch just to see what would happen. So I went in, and I just did a donate $50 to AAUW fund. And then when I looked back, is that my primary branch got a notification that that donation was, it was credited to my primary fund. And I said, other than doing it differently with each of the other places, sending checks or something else to the others. So we're getting there. Yes, Carol?
So suffice to say that not only am I new at this job of the AAUW fund, I'm a new member. I mean, a really new member, even though I was a fellow. My friends, this is a mess. I'm sitting here listening to you talk about this and the workarounds and the amount of money that we are dealing with. I just want you to know, from someone from the outside who's listening to this, I'm going, I don't know that I trust this organization with my money. Now, don't take that too far, but just to
Jackie?
listen to this is to tell you that someone who's sitting here for the first time, and I'm going, whoa. So that's just, I'm like an anthropologist in a new culture, and I'm listening, and so I've said enough. So I hope over next year we can get things so that I don't go, whoa.
Yes, Jackie?
Oh, yes. I was, in light of all we're talking about is interesting. It was really hard for me to finally get into the dashboard. I think I had to send an email to someone back there and they finally let me in. So is my understanding correct that every member who wants to donate must be in the dashboard, an active member through the dashboard, or do you know?
The community hub.
Community hub, right. So every member who wants to donate through national, national through the credit card has to be in the community hub. Is that correct?
If they're donating that way, if they're donating, by checks, what we've been talking about.
Right, no, but credit card.
Yeah, credit card,
But-
yes, and they need to be.
In the community hub. Wow.
Peggy's saying no. Go ahead, Peggy, help
Hey,
out.
No?
Anybody can just log into AUW and donate. Let's say I just love what they do. I don't belong to a branch. I
Right,
never want to.
right.
Yeah, anybody can donate to AUW. If you want it to be credited to your
Credit,
branch
then you
and
have
to you as a
to.
member, then you need to go into the community
Right.
hub to go and be registered.
Right. That's
And the other comment back to Carol is that honestly, Carol, if you think about every organization you belong to, most of them are still happy to get checks. And they also encourage you to go online and donate online because that's the quickest way. So whether it's Planned Parenthood or food banks or cancer or whatever it is, AUW is operating kind of the same way. All they're trying to do is encourage you to donate
Right.
online because it processes quicker.
It
Well,
seems
actually, I found not so much that as that, honestly, I personally don't deal with anybody today that encourages checks, or maybe of course they take them. People always take money. So the fact that we're talking about workaround around checks, I don't know, the organization
The future is online donating.
And we should be using our position to get our members to get comfortable. I mean, the biggest scare is I'm going to put my credit card out online and who's going to steal it? I mean, you know what the issue is, right?
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to share, listening to this, I'm going, whoa.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol. Jackie, again?
Yeah, I think, so that's fine with me, but I think, I don't know about the other branches, but for my branch, it's going to be really hard and maybe like a one-to-one tutorial to get a lot of people into the community hub. So that's just something that I guess we'll have to face. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, Monica?
If people want to give from a donor advised fund, which is from a financial advisor company, for a brokerage, for example, is that possible without writing a check?
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not aware of that. So we just need to figure that process out.
I'm talking too much, but
No, go ahead,
your
Peggy.
through your donor advised fund, like let's just say it's at Fidelity or Schwab. At that point is where you put in where you want your money to go, and you put in AUW, and you have to look in and put the right tax ID number.
Sure.
And the account, like Schwab or Fidelity, they write and send the check.
Right, but it's a check. Those
Well, they send the transfer to that organization. You don't. You approve the gift and the donation, and it's made that way.
Right, but it is a check that's handled.
I don't know exactly how Fidelity or Schwab, I doubt they send checks.
It's
I'm
probably
sure
a
they-
I
wire
use Schwab
transfer.
and they send a check.
It's probably
They
a
do.
wire transfer.
And I touch it. It comes to me and then I send it off to the organization.
Okay, Fidelity, you actually fill out the form and have it sent. So
it doesn't actually help. So the whole thing with credit cards won't help in my case, with the donor advised fund.
no.
And if you, I had planned like in the November meeting to do this, but it could be done at any time. If people are, because there was somebody from one of our chapters recently that they wanted to send their RMD,
Required minimum distribution.
yeah, required minimum distribution, and they wanted to send that. And so we got the information from National, who to talk to and how to get that done. And I had put that on an agenda for a bit later, because most people do those at year end. But we had the information. As a matter of fact, it was Carol, it was our branch president. She and her husband wanted to make a donation, and with RMD. And so at least in working through that, we have an answer that everybody can have. I just didn't put it on today's agenda, but
And to add to RMDs, those of you who use them know you cannot touch the check. So there is a way that the financial institutions can indeed.
Yeah, and they sent it, and they've set this up, at National, so that they can receive those. They just need to know about it so that they're watching for this, and they can get the information back. It's back to trying to get credit. So well, let's see, one more in chat. We're about out of time. They write checks. This is how they renew. Okay, I can make that go up a bit. Yes, the chat, and this is why I realize that things are moving towards online credit card giving or other types of electronic giving, and that we do have an elderly membership, and those who are not comfortable either going online, doing this stuff, or, you know, they really want to write checks, we don't want to discourage them and say, well, you can't donate to us. We're not taking your money. That is not what we're going to say. And that's why I'm saying we need to find ways to help them on this. And literally, I feel it every day, certainly every year, is that issue of writing checks, certainly nationwide, probably worldwide, but in our own realm, that issue will fade out. There are people, you know, they'll either figure it out and get on it, or they'll find some other way. I know a couple of them, they have maybe their daughter or a son or somebody help them with those things. It's like, fine, just let, you know, as I say, I think it's not a long-term issue for us, but we certainly want the money. We want to meet our goals. Last year we had, it was over $500,000. It was over 500,000 that we raised, which will not surprise you to know, California is the #1 giver to to the fund nationally. That cannot be a surprise to you. And the average donation per member, given the number of our members plus the donations we have, is like $49.85. It's just under $50 a person is what it ends up being. It's $49 and some change on the per capita, you know, on that, which I find an almost useless piece of trivia. It's like there's everybody in this room is giving the money, and then there's the rest of your branch. So get your folks involved, get it together. Your money really does matter here. And next time we meet, I do want us to be talking about other things that we can do for fundraising. And if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, I'd like to hear about them, and we'll see if we can get them put out to the entire group, because you can go, oh, that's a good idea, or that's part of a good idea. I'm going to mix and match, you know, from 3 or 4 of you people, and, you know, get it out here. So thank you, ladies, so much for coming in on a Thursday evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Wow.